is going on, guys? My name is David, and in today's video I'm bringing you guys a brand new LEGO Ninjago episode review. Today we are going to be reviewing episode 66, the hatching from the LEGO Ninjago Hands of Time season. Now, as you guys know, 5 of these brand new LEGO Ninjago episodes have actually been released in the country of Finland, and they are of course in the Finnish language. However, I was able to translate episode 66's dialogue, and therefore I'm going to be bringing you guys a detailed review of what takes place in this episode. Now, this video is actually going to be very different from my previous episode reviews regarding the Skybound season and of course Day of the Departed, because in those videos I mainly just summarized the episode, and I really didn't give much of my feedback and my thoughts in them. So it's gonna really be different this way around. I'm going to summarize this episode briefly during the first couple of minutes and then give you guys a heavy analysis on what I really think the episode was, how I think it ranks with other previous Ninjago episodes from other previous seasons. So without further ado, let's jump into this review. So basically, to summarize the entire episode, Sensei Wu actually got into a huge battle with Acronix, one of the Time Twins, who arrived at the monastery, the old ninja monastery. And so in this episode, Wu is recovering from his battle with Acronix while the ninja are finding out the past between Wu and the Time Twins. While the ninja are listening to these stories from Wu about the past, Acronix and Crux are in the Museum of Ninjago's history planning a sinister plan to kidnap Borg for some reasons that we do not know as of the moment. Crux, formerly known as Dr. Sanders, is hatching snake eggs in order to create a vast army of vermilion humanoid serpentine people. And so during this time, Borg launches a brand new innovational product called the Borg Watch. During the release of this brand new product, the vermilion attack Borg and attempt to kidnap him. The ninja arrive and try to battle this lone snake warrior, and the Time Twins are observing how the ninja battle this lone vermilion samurai, and then they release 2 more snake soldiers to battle the ninja and hold them back, while Zane escorts Cyrus Borg away from the scene to of course save him, but then is ambushed by Acronix in surprise, and Borg is eventually captured and taken away by the Time Twins. So there is a lot of substantial information that goes down in this episode, and I do have to say that it is a very interesting episode to watch. Now, regarding the entire episode in its entirety, this is a very kind of flashback heavy oriented episode, and you really need to watch this to kind of get a grasp at what's going to be going on in the future of this season, as it really kind of serves as the backbone to the story between these brand new 2 antagonists that we have, which are of course the Time Twins. And you kind of get this story between how they turned against Wu and the other elemental masters after defeating Shen in the Serpentine Wars. So the flashback sequences that go down in this episode are actually amazing. However, there's one kind of flaw that goes around with them, and it's that they keep messing around with previous story arcs from previous Ninjago seasons that we all know. And I really don't want them to mess around with these story arcs too much, because then they can change what we previously thought of these story arcs in previous seasons. But otherwise, I think that these flashbacks were awesome, a great addition to the episode, and I always love learning more about Ninjago's past. And so I'm just saying that this might cause a tiny little problem. Otherwise, the action sequences in this episode, boy oh boy, in those flashbacks, they had amazing action sequences, and they're just fantastic. I absolutely love them, and they're probably the best that they've ever been in the Ninjago series as a whole. That battle between the Time Twins in the dojo in the monastery between Garmadon and Wu, that was fantastic. The animation was flawless. You can literally tell that the animators clearly put a lot of effort into these sequences. Flawless animation, and it was very fast paced and entertaining to watch. That was probably one of my favorite battles, hands down, in the entire Ninjago series. I absolutely enjoyed it, and I really do hope that more of these battles are yet to come. Now, with that being said, there was a battle previous to that, which was, of course, with Kai's parents, and they were battling Garmadon and Wu, and that was a mediocre battle at best, in my opinion. Obviously, the animation was there, and it was a very interesting battle to watch, but it was kind of boring, in my opinion. It was kind of lackluster, but I really do think that the battle in the dojo between Garmadon and Wu totally made up for that, and that was probably one of the best shining diamonds in this entire episode. I think that is really what made me love this episode so much. Now, regarding the story in this episode, the story progressed very slowly, and it kind of gets a little bit boring at some kind of the sections throughout the episode. However, it does serve as a flashback to previous Ninjago seasons, where the story took its time to develop over several episodes. I really did find myself trying to digest the story a little bit more, and this episode gave me so much time to just sit down, watch, and just ingest all of the information that I was being given. And I really love that because it just gave me so many nostalgic feelings to the first season of Ninjago, Rise of the Serpentine. I don't know if you guys know this, but the first ever season of Ninjago, the Rise of the Serpentine, is my favorite season by far of LEGO Ninjago, and their story was very action-packed, but it was also very slow-paced. It was just an amazing balance and blend between those two elements, and this season really does remind me a lot of Season 1, and so I therefore think that this might be one of the best seasons, but of course it's just basing it off of one episode. So regarding this entire episode as a whole, I think that it was one of the most interesting and, of course, one of the most influential episodes that we need, because there is so much information and backbone that we need to absorb, and if you do not watch this episode, you're probably not going to get a very good grasp at what's going on in future Hands of Time episodes, so you really cannot miss this one. Now, some pros to this episode is, of course, the amazing flashback sequences and the action sequences. They are awesome. And the story makes a lot of sense, and it takes its time to develop. It isn't really rushed like it was in Skybound or Possession. It takes its time to slowly build up. And there are a lot of kind of hints as to what's going on in future episodes. However, one of the cons that I have with this is that Achronix is a villain, a main antagonist in this season. However, I feel like he's not being taken too seriously. He is a very skilled fighter, as Wu does say in the flashback sequences, but yet he is kind of a little joke. He's used by the writers of the Ninjago episodes as like little comic relief, and he's, you know, talking about how all of these new technology, all these innovations, all these apps and games, and he's like so dumbfounded by all of this, and it kind of ruins the effect of a feared and intimidating villain, and I really do want that in a Ninjago villain. I think probably one of the most important kind of elements to an entire Ninjago season is its villain, and Achronix is the first villain that we're actually ever introduced to in Hands of Time, as he of course is the only one to appear in the first episode of episode 65, and I feel like they're kind of not taking him too seriously with him acting all childish. However, I do understand why the writers decided to do this, because Crux, Achronix's twin, is of course offered as a counterbalance to Achronix's silliness, and Crux is a very kind of serious character, and I really love his approach and his ideas. He kind of seems like a very respectful individual, as he started talking about how he found the ninja's fighting style very, very interesting, and he respected it, and I feel like that is the kind of villain that I want in a Ninjago season, and I guess it's not really too much of a con, because after all, you're getting two main villains, and they just have so much chemistry together that both of their kind of characteristics and characterization kind of make sense. So overall, I do have to say that even though it is a small con in my opinion, the fact that the villain is not going to be really taken as serious and he's kind of there for comedic relief, I do think, however, that Crux absolutely makes up for what's going on in there. Now, talking about another minor con, the story does tend to lag behind just a little bit, and at some points I did find myself a bit bored. However, I don't think that that's a major problem, because you really do need all that time to just digest all that information that are being given to in the episode. And I really do feel like this episode does a great job of giving you all that information and giving you a lot, but also not giving you enough. And you kind of have this feeling where you want more, but you also don't, because you feel like you've gotten enough, if that kind of makes any sense. And I think that this episode really does an outstanding job of giving you that feeling, and I absolutely love it just for that. So overall, I do have to say that even though there are a couple of small cons in this episode, overall it is a fantastic episode, and it was amazingly done, and I just cannot wait to see more Hands of Time episodes and get a better grasp at what the story is trying to, of course, hint at. Now, there are a bunch of hints in this episode that I cannot wait to make videos on, because there are major lines that Crux says that kind of hint towards Kai's parents and what their parents are actually doing in this episode, and they're kind of there, but they're very subtle. So I cannot wait to see what's going on in this season. Overall, if I were to rate this episode from a 1 being the lowest score and of course 10 being at the highest, I would give it an 8. Honestly, I feel like it's a solid 8. It is there, and it is probably one of the top tier Ninjago episodes that we received in a very long time. I really enjoyed my time watching it, but that is my opinion on the brand new LEGO Ninjago episode 66, The Hatching from the Hands of Time season. What did you guys think about this episode? Feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. I love reading your guys' comments, and if you guys did enjoy the video, then please leave a like and subscribe for more LEGO Ninjago videos that I will be putting out within the next coming weeks regarding Hands of Time. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate all of your support, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.